Once you understand how your body works, physically and mentally, it's the same building block for every other movement. Athletes all have to have the same level of understanding. And when you can take that understanding to a high level, you can learn everything very easily. And a lot of what I see is it starts with a beginner's mindset.
Sean,
Yes.
just want to say thank you so much for being here, and thank you for, I know time is of the essence, but just want to say thank you for just making time and being out here and sharing your story. It means a lot to me, so I want to say thank you for that.
Well, thank you for asking me. It's an honor. I appreciate it.
Sean, before we start this, I'm going to ask you a few off-the-cuff questions.
Okay.
If you have to choose forever to live with your life, right? Mm-hmm. Coffee or your favorite comfort food?
Coffee. Coffee is a comfort food for me. That's my go-to. I've been doing that, drinking coffee every morning since I was probably 13. And I don't think I've ever skipped a day. So I would probably die if I didn't have coffee.
Do you consider yourself an addict?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. That's the one thing I give myself is coffee.
That's awesome. All right. You have to choose wall sit for the rest of your life or plank.
Oh, man. I think, they both feel so good. I think a wall sit would be easier for me than planking. But I'd probably choose the plank. Feels good. I'd plank for the rest of my life.
I think you could.
I could probably last 30, 40 minutes and then that'd be it.
Would you be okay dying like that?
I think so. Dying what I love to do, yeah. It'd be great.
Next question. Cold plunge or sauna?
I love the sauna. I love, love, love the sauna. The cold plunge to me is more of, it's for the mind, and the cold plunge is something I do to strengthen myself. But sauna to me is relaxation. That's the recovery aspect of my routine. So I could live without the cold plunge. I would much rather prefer the sauna.
That's beautiful. All right, we're live now. All right, so we're on the starting point. For those who don't know you, can you introduce yourself and talk about what was life like growing up?
Yeah. My name's Sean Russell Herman. I am the founder of Musou Movement. My whole life I've been playing sports. I've always loved movement. I started ice hockey very young and surfing and skateboarding. My dad's a surfer and a skater. And I never looked at any of sports as like it was fitness. It was hobbies. It's what I did for fun, which is why I think I've done it my whole life. I did soccer, baseball, lacrosse, football. I played everything. But ice hockey and surfing are the two, and skateboarding are the three things that really stuck with me. And then ice hockey transitioned into a surfing career, and that transitioned at the same time into martial arts and diving deep into that. And then that transitioned into filmmaking and then this.
Sean, there was an event that happened to you at an early stage of your life. The incident about the skateboard incident. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so that was one incident. I've had many instances like that, unfortunately, growing up, and fortunately, because it shaped me into who I am today. But when I was 12, maybe 11, 12 years old, I was skateboarding late at night, and a group of older kids stopped me and threatened to beat me up and steal my skateboard. And I just remember how insecure and unsafe I felt at that time. And I never, ever wanted to feel that way again. That's why I really started getting into like studying boxing and how to move and trying to get stronger. And I think a lot of martial artists get into it for the same reason of they don't like to fight. They don't like the feeling of being scared. So they move towards that feeling and try to limit the amount of fear that brings. And yeah, I think that was one instance in my life that really changed just my outlook, how you're not safe all the time and there's not always going to be someone there to protect you. You need to take care of yourself. And for me, that was a very pivotal moment and a very empowering moment.
And you talk about that moment when they told you to give you that skateboard and you gave it to them, but they responded. What did they say to you?
Yeah, so they asked for the skateboard and I just automatically gave it to them like it was nothing. And they laughed at me. And they said, "Oh, you're really just going to give your skateboard like that? You're not even going to fight?" And that was worse than, I think, getting beaten up. That I went home and then they didn't take my skateboard. They gave it back to me and sent me home, and I hated that. I felt so weak. I was upset with myself. And yeah, it would have been easier if I said no and they beat me up. That would have been easier on my conscience, but yeah. So I promised myself I'd never do that again.
Incredible. So after that, that's when you started training, and then it got to where you are now.
Yeah, so the martial arts side of my career was, I was always into training myself on how to fight. We had a heavy bag in my basement. So after school, I would go home and I would practice punching. This was like before YouTube was a thing. So I would try to find as many videos online as I could. But I was so serious about my ice hockey at the time that is what took over my life, was ice hockey, ice hockey, ice hockey. But myself, I would always study martial arts because, again, I was terrified of getting beaten up. I was terrified of getting put in that situation again where I didn't have anyone to protect me. And then it was when I was 18 when I actually started joining MMA gyms and learning from professionals and coaches that actually knew how to fight. And then from there, I moved around a lot from there. I moved to, I was in Australia, North Carolina, New York City, LA. And every time I moved, I would join a different gym. So I went from MMA gym to boxing gym to Muay Thai gyms. And luckily, I was at the point in martial arts where everything started integrating. This is when MMA first started becoming a thing. Because usually, you could only train at a boxing gym, or you could only train at a Muay Thai gym, or you can only train at a jiu-jitsu gym or a karate gym. And it was this really cool time where everything started happening under one roof. And that was exciting.
I love that. How would you describe your training philosophy? And to follow up with that question, what sparked the idea of Musou, right? Musou Movement. Mm-hmm. And then, that's how you pronounce it, correct?
Yes, Musou.
Can you give us an in-depth answer on that?
So my philosophy's changed over time. Now, at the point of what I'm teaching now at Musou, it's all about the mind and programming the mind to always have a beginner's mindset and to not just get through hard times, but to actually learn how to enjoy the hard times. That's the big difference, I think, with what I teach and what I really instill in my students is you have to enjoy it. And when you enjoy it, you'll do it forever. And when you enjoy something, you can soak up so much more knowledge. But I can't stand the philosophy of, kill your inner bitch, or just learn to suck it up. Life is difficult. So why would you spend a majority of your day training more difficult things without learning how to enjoy it? I think when you can actually make things fun, it changes your life. The issues in life, whether it's relationships or business, they become enjoyable. You start seeing that every difficult situation is an opportunity to not only grow, but to restructure and adapt. That's where my philosophy is now. And now that I live that type of lifestyle, it's made my life so much more enjoyable, and I can soak up so much more knowledge. In the past, it was train your ass off, put more hours in the studio, in the gym, or put more hours into the sport that you're trying to learn and just outwork everyone, whether you like it or not. But what that did for me was it was very detrimental because I just got burnt out. And if you look at my career, I always became obsessed with what I was doing, and I wanted to become the best at it. And I got to that point, and then I quit because I didn't enjoy it anymore. So now for me, balance and enjoying things and then working on the mental state is the most important. The physical strength that comes with that is just a consequence. It's a beautiful thing that just happens when you dedicate yourself to something. But really, I think a lot of people, they underestimate the power of the mind and what that does. And that, to me, is the most important thing.
I love that. Did you ever see Musou coming to fruition like this? Did you ever see this studio before, I guess, maybe before COVID or before anything? Did you ever see this coming to fruition?
No, I never had an idea to open up Musou. That wasn't in the cards for me. Before the pandemic and even during the pandemic, I was into filmmaking and acting, and that was my passion. It was self-expression, it was art. That's what I wanted to do. But what I teach at Musou is what I've been training myself like for the last 15 years. The things that I teach at Musou is what kept me from getting super depressed and stressed out with my art career. I always thought of, if I can enjoy the process of training and learning, it'll keep my mental state clear to help me get through the hard times of filmmaking. And then during the pandemic, everything changed. I left LA. I found a beautiful home here in Greenville, South Carolina. And then I had my son, and I got married. And I wasn't happy. I had a dream job of making really awesome projects with a great company, with friends. But I spent most of my time in an office getting ready to make films. And I was lacking the movement that I was used to doing. And I just had an aha moment of, I love movement. I love how I've trained myself. And I think if I could teach people the way that I've been training myself over, the last decade, I think people would enjoy that. And then I just became obsessed with the idea of opening up my own movement studio and teaching all these different disciplines and showing people how this fitness lifestyle integrates directly into your life. Especially at that time in the world's history, I was noticing that a lot of people were just depressed. And a lot of people were unsure of the economy and what they were doing with their lives. And I wanted to show them what I do or what I was doing to create a positive community and a positive lifestyle.
When we sat down a week ago, we talked about, you mentioned that all movement had the same building blocks. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, so I think once you understand how your body works, physically and mentally, it's the same building block for every other movement. So I see a lot of similarities in acrobatics and gymnastics and dance and mobility movements and strength training that I do in martial arts and ice hockey and football and soccer. Athletes all have to have the same level of understanding. And when you can take that understanding to a high level, you can learn everything very easily. And a lot of what I see is it starts with a beginner's mindset. when you're open to learning new things and you're open to being humbled and you're open to not being the best at something at first, and then you understand your body, balance, proprioception, contralateral movements, coiling, generating power, then you can just learn everything, which is why I love teaching so many different disciplines here. And if you see my students in every class, they pick up things very quickly because they understand their mind and they understand their body and they're not afraid to be beginners. And then in life, they're not afraid to take risks. They're not afraid to try new things. They're not afraid to escalate their businesses or travel the world. This open mindset, I think, unlocks the doors to being able to learn everything.
You fought in your first cage fight last July. Mm-hmm. That was your very first cage fight, correct?
Yes.
How did you do, and what was the camp like leading up to the fight?
Yeah, so I didn't put 2 and 2 together. I didn't know it was going to be in a cage. I thought it was just going to be normal, like in a ring. I didn't know it was going to be that big of a show. I thought it was just going to be kind of like a smoker fight, fighting in the ring or whatnot. And it was a bigger scale than I thought. So when I didn't know it until I showed up. The fight camp was really difficult for me. Well, for one, it was quick. I was in Thailand prior to that for 3 weeks training. And then I went right into that. And I was just going to train for 5-6 weeks and then take a fight then. But as soon as we started training, we got offered a fight like 2 weeks in. So my fight camp was only like 3.5-4 weeks. And it was really difficult for me just because I teach and train so much with Musou that then allocating another, 5-6 hours a week, even more just for the fight, I was just so overtrained. But I just kept fighting through it and pushing through it until we actually got in the cage. And I ended up winning the fight. And I was proud of myself because I made really quick adaptations during the fight. The guy came out very fast. Usually I like to read the person first. I like to download how they move, download their strengths, download their weaknesses, and then I start implicating a game plan. But he came out super fast. He was throwing a lot of crazy kicks. So I just adapted and suffocated. And I won the fight just by suffocating him. He couldn't handle my clinch work. And I could tell right away he didn't like being so close. And I just found my strength, and then I just implemented that the whole fight. And I wish, though, if I wasn't so overtrained, my cardio would have been awesome. But I felt it after the first round. I was exhausted. And then it just went right into just grit.
What would you do differently next time leading up to a fight like that?
I didn't have a choice because I have to teach so much here. But if it was a perfect world, I would have not have taught as many classes. I would have taught maybe once or twice a day with the training camp. But I did all the right things. I was running a lot, doing a lot of mitt work, doing a lot of sparring. My nutrition's always on point. My weight cut was easy. But it's just the fact of owning your own business, teaching a different type of movement philosophy that no one else, especially in this area, teaches. So I can't have people cover classes for me during that time. Just being an entrepreneur, being a father, being a husband, taking care of a family. There's a lot of pressure and no time to recover.
Do you feel like it's too good to be true sometimes to do exactly what you're supposed to be doing? Like living with your purpose, within your purpose?
That's a great question. I could be pessimistic and say yes, because life is never that easy. But I'm very optimistic in the sense of, I think once you figure out your real life purpose, things start falling into place. And in the past, I had a very challenging time with my past careers of filmmaking, because I don't think that's what I was supposed to be doing. I think God put me in that path to learn all the life lessons that I needed to learn, and figure out how tough I really am, and to understand if I could handle the responsibilities and the stress that I handled today. Because now what I'm doing is a cakewalk compared to what I did in my 20s. Now things fall into place for me, and it is because I'm doing exactly what I should be doing, and it feels right. In the past, it wasn't what I was supposed to be doing, and that's why it was so difficult. So, but still, I have to train very hard. Being an entrepreneur is not easy, but because I know it's what I'm supposed to be doing, the difficult situations I get put into, I know there's a solution. I know I'm strong enough now to adapt and figure out what I need to do, and that's empowering for myself. So I know any situation I get put into now, I know that I can adapt and overcome and figure out the right answer to get through it, and to not only just get through it, but to come out stronger on the other side. And I don't know if that is just the concept of being too good to be true, or the universe hands you things, or if I myself am just a stronger person now, that it doesn't faze me. When something goes wrong, I'm not fazed by it. I know I'll get through it. So I don't have a pessimistic outlook on situations like that anymore. I know that doesn't directly answer your question, but I don't know if it's my mindset and my experience and my wisdom that's changed, or if the universe is actually helping me out more, or if it's both, and we're working together.
Love that. And that's a very long question, but I think that's a great answer. You talked about being boring at one point. You're constantly wanting to move around. And that led me to a question. Does being boring scare you?
Boring? Yeah. Yes. Yeah. No, I hate the feeling of stagnation. Life is not a sprint, but it's not a marathon. We only have such a small amount of time here. And I constantly am thinking about that. So when I feel stagnant, I know I have to go to the next level. I'm never looking for comfort. I'm always looking to achieve something, to get better in all aspects of my life, and then take it to the next level, and then take it to the next level, and then take it to the next level. And I think the hard part with that type of mindset is you also need to enjoy the journey. You can't always look at the end. And you also need to be proud of yourself along the way. For much of my life, I was never proud of myself. I was always more. And then you're always rushing, and you're never enjoying the actual journey. The journey is the beautiful part, So being stagnant, though, the second I start feeling like things aren't growing, it doesn't have to be growing fast, but if I feel like things are topping off and they're not taking it up a notch, I always do something to move the needle higher and higher and higher.
I love that. That's a great response. So let's talk about the Bahamas trip, because your video with Joe Thompson, right?
Joey, yeah.
Joe Thompson. Yeah, you guys talked about up and coming Greenville, and that video blew up. And that video, you said that it also gave you an opportunity to go to the Bahamas, where they did a free diving competition, and it was the second largest, deepest hole on Earth.
Yes.
Tell us about that trip, and what was your anticipation, and talk about how you met your wife.
Yeah. We did a comedy sketch about up and coming cities. This is when Greenville was not really up and coming yet, but it's changed a lot in the last few years. That video went viral. Someone saw that video, called me up and hired me to do, or a friend actually linked this up. My friend Stephanie linked me up with the the head of the freediving Vertical Blue, which is it's the biggest freediving competition in the world. They saw that video and said, hey, that'd be funny if that guy was a host at our freediving competition, because it's live all over the world and all freedivers from all over come to compete here. It's a big deal in the freediving world. So they called me up. Hey, do you want to come to the Bahamas for 3.5 weeks or however long it was and commentate? And I didn't know anything about freediving. So I said, sure. I thought they were jumping off rocks into the ocean. I thought there was like a flipping competition or whatnot. And so I go down there. I don't know anything about freediving. They told me to not study up. They wanted me to not know anything. That way I could make jokes and learn while I was doing it. And I had another co-host who knew freediving, and we would work off each other. And so I get down there. I don't know anything. I'm making jokes. I don't know what I'm talking about, and people are getting pissed off. Like, everyone hated me there because they thought I was making fun of freediving. They didn't know that I was there to be like comedic relief. So when I was there the first 2 weeks, I hated it. The people, just everything. I did not want to be there. I wanted to go back home. And then I just said, you know what? Screw this. I'm just going to have fun with this. People are getting mad. This is what I got hired to do. So I'm just going to go off the rails and just do crazy stuff. I'm just going to go crazier than I was before. And then slowly over time, people started realizing, oh, this guy's here to make it fun. Because it's a very fun sport, but it's a lot of waiting and watching. People are diving all the way down for minutes. So you just sit there and watch this person just. So I was there to fill the gaps in between. Anyway, so my wife was on the safety team. She was one of the people, and it's a very big deal to be on the safety team for Vertical Blue. She was there to save people if they passed out or blacked out underwater. She would dive down with them and then bring them back to the surface. And so she would see me commentating and hated me. She's like, this guy's making fun of us. So she hated me the whole time. And then around week 3, she started realizing, oh, this guy's not such a bad guy. This is what he's supposed to be doing. And then we started talking and hanging out. And, I worked my charm on her and spit some game. And we ended up hanging out and having a great time. And then I convinced her to come visit me after. And then she came to visit. Before she went to Japan, she came to South Carolina, came to visit me. And then we just really hit it off. And I was infatuated with her. I fell in love with her. And then I said, please don't go back to Japan. Stay with me. And she did. And then we got married. And then worked out all the visa stuff, which took a long time. And then she got pregnant and had our son. And the rest is history.
Was there a moment? What was that moment like when you knew?
Man, so there was a beach party at the end of the competition, and we're all hanging on the beach and partying and dancing, and we're in the middle of the Bahamas, and I just remember looking at her and being like, man, I've never met a woman like this before. She just had this aura to her that I just felt, and I was infatuated with her. I was blown away. And I just remember saying, like, I want to spend as much time with this soul that I can, and hopefully she wants to spend time with me too. However long that is, or however short, as long as I get to spend some time with her, I would love that. And and then it just grew and grew and grew, and yeah.
Man, that's awesome. I love that. That's really crazy. What's it like being a father?
Being a father is the best thing that ever happened to me. I love it. It's given purpose to my life, and for a long time, my world was only just about me. And now I'm, third on the list. And I love that. But my son is everything to me. He makes me the happiest I've ever felt. It's the best thing that ever happened to me. And I never wanted kids either. And then when I found out Sai was pregnant, though, I was excited. I wasn't like, oh, no, we shouldn't do this. As soon as I found out she was pregnant, I'm like, let's do it. And then I had to become a man. I had to figure out how I was going to support a family. And I grew 15 years in that 1 year while she was pregnant, those 9 months. I changed everything about my life, how I thought, my responsibilities, how I handled stress. I quit drinking. And I just got really serious about being able to take care of someone. And it was the best thing I ever did.
Wow. Let's, before you go, because I want to talk a little bit more about that as well, but how did you meet your friend Joe?
Joey? Yeah. Joey and I met through a mutual friend in LA. We have a mutual friend, Pedro, who's a phenomenal actor, filmmaker, director, writer. And he was helping me with this TV show that I was doing, Cali Karate. We ended up making it into a movie, Cali Karate, The Second Beginning. But Joe, he introduced me to Joey and said, hey, I have a friend who's a comedian. I think you guys would hit it off. You would vibe really well. So Joey started helping me with Cali Karate. And then I started helping him film his sketches. And I just really enjoyed working with him. And I enjoyed him as a person and as a friend. And then, yeah, we just started working together all the time.
It fascinates me on how seamless your videos are with you and Joe. On every video you guys make, most of, like, how are you guys like scripting that? Is it just more improvising on the go? Like, how is it so seamless?
So with Joey, we write down a lot of jokes. We meet, a week before, and we write like 3 pages of one-liners of something that we felt would fit that character and that scenario that we're talking about. And then once we get all of the jokes down, then that just stems into improvising. And the improvising is where it really starts, I think, taking it to another level. And that's where synergy with your comedic partner really becomes important. You have to be able to work off each other. And it has to just be a natural relationship you guys have together. And with Joey, him and I we work very well with each other.
So we're going to go back to talk about when you were in LA. You said you were homeless at one point. You slept on the street. Tell us a little bit more about that, and how did you manage to get out of that?
So luckily, I didn't have to sleep on the street. I was lucky enough that I had really good friends, and he never wanted me to tell anyone this, but my acting coach, Patrick Day, at Young Actor Space, saved me. He was such a great influence in my life, and before this too, he was always helping me out. When I couldn't afford acting classes, this guy, because I was a good carpenter and I knew how to work with my hands, we would trade, we would barter. He never gave me anything. He made me work for it, but he would help me out. Because I didn't have my family paying for my things. I didn't have, help. I was all on my own. So I would fix up the studio and fix, when we did plays and stuff, I'd build all the props. Or if the stage was broken, I'd fix the stage. And in return, he would give me acting classes. And we would barter that way. He's a great guy. And then I had a bad breakup with a girl, and I had to move out of our place we shared together. He gave me the keys to the studio. And I went from an, oh, I'm screwed moment to at least I have an acting stage I can sleep on. So after class, we would always go to this bar, the Pineapple. Everyone would go to the Pineapple, and we'd have a couple of drinks, then everyone would go home. Well, I would just go back to the acting studio, take my sleeping bag out that I had underneath the stage with a couple of boxes I was hiding, and I would sleep on the stage, and then I would get up early in the morning because he had classes coming in the morning. So I would live there at night, and then the whole day I had to be out. So that's when the Kali Karate Sensei character started getting developed, because I had the full day of working and I had to be somewhere else. I didn't have a home to go back to. So I'd go hang out with my friend Josh, and we would start training martial arts, because Josh is a really good boxer. And we would train boxing and Muay Thai together and a little bit of wrestling. And then we started having fun playing this like sensei character, and we started making these videos and filming them, and we put them online and people started loving them. That's how Kali Karate started, was during that time. So again, it was like taking a negative and turning it into a positive. And yeah, and then luckily enough, I started making enough money where I could get my own place again. But Patrick Day, phenomenal actor, phenomenal acting coach, and just an all-around a great guy.
Are you still in touch with him?
Yeah, not as much as I would like to be, because I'm not in LA anymore. But we message each other all the time, and yeah, I miss him a lot. He's a great guy.
Well, hopefully you guys run into each other again.
Yeah, I hope so too.
Sean, how do you view the world? Like, what's the world? Take us through your lens. How do you see the world?
Again, it's changed over time. I used to have a very hard time trusting people. So I'd have an issue. Like, I always had this mindset of don't trust anyone until they prove to you that you can trust them. And that was just kind of a very pessimistic outlook. Now my philosophy is different. I'll trust someone, a little bit, not obviously with a lot, but I'll trust someone enough until I can't trust them, until they prove to me that, oh, maybe this isn't the person that I thought they were. But also, I feel like I'm a pretty good read on character. I can read people's energies pretty well. So I can tell if someone's, trustworthy enough, or a good person, or compassionate, or positive, or not. I would like to think that everyone has a good part of their soul, and that we all want the same thing in life. We all want to be safe. We all want to have enough money to survive. We all want to have a family and be loved and be able to love. Deep down inside, I want to believe that. Obviously, there's some people out there that they're just not great people, and there's a darker side to them than most. But I also believe the best thing to be in life is to be a warrior in the garden, to be a peaceful warrior, someone who can choose to be violent when you need to be, and put your foot down and not let people manipulate you and bully you and take advantage of you, but you choose to be peaceful. If you don't have the capability of being that, then you're peaceful out of necessity. You don't have the option of not being peaceful. So really, you're just kind of weak. And I think everyone should have a side to them that is strong and confident and can take care of themselves and their family.
Yeah, I know you talked about controlling that dark side too.
Everyone has a dark side. Everybody. And I love Carl Jung. I read a lot of Carl Jung's writings, and I agree with him. Is everyone has a dark side. It's the yin and yang of life. And it's not good and bad. It's just light and dark. And when you understand that about yourself, then you can understand how to control it and use it use it as an advantage. But when people try to live life and go, oh, I don't have a dark side, I don't have a selfish side, that's BS. It's survival. Everyone has a survival instinct, and that's how humans are where we're at now. We're really good at surviving. So I think it's important for people to dive deep into themselves and to figure out what that looks like.
What's your advice for those who are trying to find their passion?
I don't think there's advice for it. I think you just need to be honest with yourself. Everyone knows what makes them happy. You just need to listen to yourself. Don't listen to society. Don't listen to your parents. Don't listen to friends. It's you. You got to listen to yourself. You got to do your inner work. You have to sit in silence and ask the hard questions in life. But that's why movement and training and taking care of yourself is so important. The healthier your gut is, the healthier your mind is. The healthier your mind is, the healthier your body is. And it's a full circle. And when you're at the healthiest stage in your life, then you can listen to your gut. But if you're constantly avoiding these questions of existentialism and the purpose of life and what makes you happy and what makes you sad and what do you actually want to be doing in your life, and you're hiding it with vaping and cigarettes and social media and alcohol and junk food and all this, you're just avoiding. And when you avoid, you can't listen to yourself. And that's the biggest weakness in a person that I see is avoidance. So if you want to figure out what your real passion is and why you're really here, you need to take care of yourself first. And then it becomes pretty clear.
Sean, we only have one more question left, and we're right on time too, so.
Nice.
We're right on time, so this is the last
Sometimes
one.
I can rant, so I...
No, I've been monitoring the time, so I
Okay.
know you have class within like 19 minutes.
Cool.
What do you want to be remembered for?
I hope, the biggest thing is I hope I'm remembered as being a great father. I hope my son and his kids one day can look back and go, my dad was a great father and a great grandfather. I hope my wife can say the same thing. And then aside from that, I hope that I inspire people to take control of their lives. I think life can be overwhelming if you don't get into the car seat yourself. And I hope that I inspire people to understand that they can control what happens for the most part. Some things you can't, but for the most part, this is the only thing in this world that's mine. And it starts with how you take care of yourself. And if you want to take control of yourself to the highest level, then you need to make sure your mind and your body are at the highest level. Take care of yourself. Make that not just part of your day, make it your lifestyle. It's got to be part of your lifestyle. And it doesn't have to be so difficult. It can be fun, it can be enjoyable, but I hope that I inspire people to move a different way, think a little bit differently, and to see the positive things in life, not just the negative. Because it's very, very easy to think pessimistically. And it doesn't have to be that way. And take risks and make decisions. Don't be scared. It's okay to be scared, but make decisions in life.
Sean, thank you so much. This has been a gift. And time is valuable, so I don't take this time for granted at all. So I definitely appreciate your time being out here. I know you have class starting in like 15 minutes, but you made time for us to talk a little bit more about your story. So I wanted to thank you for that, and I appreciate you.
Thank you. I appreciate you very much for asking me. Thank you.